platform. In the studio again, Trustmark Studios, Major General Janson Boyles, Adjutant General. I missed you the last time you were on.
You did, and did miss you.
Yeah.
Hey, happy Veterans Day this morning.
Day,
yeah,
and
yeah.
what special services do you guys have on this day? Any at all?
We had a 10:30 ceremony yesterday that covered so it's the traditional War Memorial Building ceremony. We've moved that to the History Museum in downtown Jackson. A great event. And there are other events. There are other events around. The cemetery over Newton County is always a good event.
We talked about how many. I think we said there were 20 million. Was that what the number we gave Perez? I think it was. Veterans in the United States of America?
You know,
I'm not sure how many we have in the state.
So I'm doing the math real quick in my head. It's 7% of the population now. And
that'd be about right then.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
In Mississippi, we have no idea. We'd be about 7% of the population there.
I would say so, too. I'd agree. So, maybe a little bit higher. Just Mississippi is a patriotic state, so we probably have a little bit more.
Tell me some of the things that what we're doing on Veterans Day or anything as far as the deployments are concerned. Where are we with our men and women serving in uniform in this state?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So we've got sort of two categories. We've got those folks who are deployed. Mm-hmm. We traditionally have about 600 deployed all the time. We're about at 450 right now. Our big flag that's out there is the Air Defense Artillery Unit out of central Mississippi. They're deployed to the capital region where they're providing air defense protection. But they're also in Europe. We put air defense assets there on the eastern side of Europe to show a force against the Russian influence.
How many do we have there?
Over 200, about 250, 280, something like that.
And they will be there for how long? They'll
be coming back about January, February. So that's about a 9-month obligation, and they'll do that traditionally 9 months, and they'll go back in about 3 years.
What's the percentage of people who re-up?
Good. I think it depends on the pace of play, if I can say it that way. So,
pace of play meaning the current politics of the day.
Well, if you're doing a lot of deployments, and young men and women sign up maybe for one deployment, but over the past 20 years, the Guard has done 2 and 3 and 4 deployments with the same units. And so it's hard to retain soldiers. So I would say we do a good job of maintaining our numbers with new recruits every year, but we probably traditionally across the country we're losing some retention.
When you start looking at the ebb and flow of the popularity of that, usually if we have something going on over in the Middle East or if there's saber rattling going on, especially in Mississippi, we have people who knock on the door and say, "Let me in."
Right.
And other times there's a lull.
That's exactly it. So there are different reasons for getting in the military. Obviously, a lot of folks get in for tuition assistance. They do their 6 years. They plan to get out anyway, regardless of what our plans are. There are others who join because they just grew up loving the military, and they stay in. So everybody has different issues. I tell you, Paul, we have a lot of folks right now who, because of the pace of play, the family has, we're breaking the family, so to speak. In other words, the family support's there for 1 or 2 rotations, but then you start to challenge that family situation when you take 3 and 4 and 5 rotations out. So that's a retention issue. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes, it does.
Okay.
And one of the things we've learned over the years too is that the subsequent heroes of the parents, the sponsors. I was going to sometimes you say the women left behind, but sometimes it's the guys.
That's right. Correct.
But man, we've joked about this, and not joked, but talked about this over the years. That as soon as they're on the plane headed out and crossing the ocean to go somewhere far, far away, the washing machine breaks down or something. And it always happens.
Well, the strength and the backbone of our men and women who serve are those families that are out there. They are the fuel. They are the fuel that feeds the fire for us.
For people who don't know this, and I hate to sound like some people out there they're a little confused about the Air National Guard compared to the different segments of the National Guard itself.
Okay. So you've got the Army in the air. You don't have Navy in the Guard. You don't have Marines in the Guard. Those are reserved for the reserve forces. And it's because of the nature of our business. We do domestic work, and those resources really are more for deployments. But we have Army. In Mississippi, we have about 10,000 Army National Guardsmen, and we do just all sorts of things. We do logistics, infantry, armor, special forces. We have just a litany of...
Of that 10,000, how many are overseas?
So right now, again, we have about... we've got about 450 deployed. I'd say about half of those are Army and about half of those are Air.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. The Air Force, we've got about 2,500 Air Force folks, and they tend to deploy in smaller units, and a lot of times they deploy individually to fill gaps across the world for the Air Force.
Yeah. Is that down now from, let's say, 10 years ago?
It is. We will surge, and every state surges to support the deployments. When we have everybody out the door, we're probably, like about a year and a half ago, we had about 4,000 folks out the door. So it surges back and forth depending on the 155 ABCT being deployed, which is about 3,000, and our logistics command.
Major General Janson Boyles he's Adjutant General of Mississippi in the National Guard. What's the youngest age you can join? Is it that hasn't changed?
Yeah, it's 18, but in the National Guard we can actually get you in at 17.
You can do 17
as a junior, and we send you off to basic training. You come back for your senior year in high school, and either you've already done your AIT.
Wait a minute, you go to basic training during the summer and come back to high school?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Basic training would be 6 weeks or how long?
6 to 8 weeks, depending on your MOS.
Where do you go?
You could go anywhere. Most of our soldiers go to Fort Leonard Wood. They go to Fort Jackson.
How about that?
Yeah.
You come back with rank of course, private?
If once you have your college degree or two years of college, you can get promoted to an E4. But up until that point, you're usually a 1, a private, or a private first class.
It is, for somebody who doesn't know what they want to do, it's a great opportunity. You very seldom see people who've gone through this that are disappointed that they invested in that time. Most of them will tell you, we've had them on the air, well, look, it's the greatest thing I ever did. It helped me grow up, understand what responsibilities are, and it set the pattern of those responsibilities for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'd agree. I always tell my children, I got 2 boys, I say, look, open all the doors you can open, and other people will close those doors, or you may step through one, or joining the military opens one of those doors for you. And it may not be a career for you, but it will help get you started in a career. And, some of these kids go to cyber and learn cyber skills and get a great job at the end of that 6-year commitment. Many folks stay in the Guard. So.
Well, and as far as the new generation coming up every year, you've got more and more with experience because they started when they were toddlers, so they know exactly what they're doing now.
They do, and I'll tell you, if I may, 9/11 was 20 years ago now, and I have this
hard
sort
to
of
believe, isn't it?
It is, and I have this routine where I ask folks to stand up who have signed up to join the military after 9/11, and it's 2/3.
You're a brave man. That makes everybody feel old that's doing that, though.
Well, but we need to recognize this remarkable generation of kids who are joining up, these young men and women who are joining. So.
It's like saying how many people were in the NFL that were not here when. Or do you remember 9/11 at all? So time has passed.
Yeah.
I do want to ask this, though, as far as your deployment here in this country, as far as all of the riots and everything. Can we talk about that when we come back?
Yeah, would be delighted to.
We'll talk more with Major General Janson Boyles, who's the Adjutant General of Mississippi. Veterans Day is today. Let's see here. Women make up 20% of the U.S. naval personnel. There are currently 11,765 female officers, 55,922 enlisted female members in the Navy. Women make up about 20% of all U.S. naval personnel, and that's probably a new high. Adjutant General of the state of Mississippi. We're talking about a million different things here, but 2 million veterans are over the age of 65. 9 million veterans are over the age of 35. We had 6 million serve in World War II, 8 million in the Korean War. 6 million veterans served during peacetime. And you look at all of these things and you think about where we are today and the freedoms that we have. And when you start thinking, and I'm not going to drag you into politics here, but when you start thinking about the facts and you ask the questions, is our election system where it needs to be? These people, veterans, gave blood, sweat, and tears, many of them their lives, to make sure it was. And you cannot have freedom without an election system in this country that you're confident in.
Yeah. So, Paul, I tell you, that was the theme of my speech yesterday at the War Memorial Building. When we raise our right hand and swear an oath to this country, we pledge an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. So we're not swearing an allegiance to an individual, like a lot of countries do, or to a political party, like a lot of countries do, or even to an idea. We are swearing an allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America.
Let's talk about the recruiting here, because just to talk to some young people out there who may be looking at this, you said 17 in high school, but certainly if you're getting out of high school, you graduated, you have no idea what you want to do.
Yeah.
There are a multitude of different things other than just picking up a gun and
right.
in combat. I mean, it's a whole variety of ways to serve this country. Is most of your recruiting contacts at the Armory, or do you have some locations out there?
We have recruiters that do go to the schools. So I think if I'm a high school young man or young woman looking for this opportunity, I would look for that uniform and grab them by the sleeve and say I'm interested. I think we can go to the internet, to the National Guard internet location, and we have a recruiting tool there. And then I would say even just walking into an armory, if you walked into an armory as a high school student and just said, I'd like to speak to a recruiter, they are going to make sure you get in touch with a recruiter.
If you're making the pitch, why do this as far as the National Guard instead of just going in enlisting in one of the branches?
Yeah, great question.
What's your pitch on that?
Yeah, so I like the National Guard option better. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. But the National Guard gives you a taste of the military. You get to go to basic training, you go to AIT, you learn that skill. Yeah. But when you finish that training, you come back home, and you're at home in your own bed. You're part of a National Guard unit that meets once a month, goes down to Shelby. You can always step into active duty after you get in the National Guard. And we sign opportunities for kids to go to, or young men and women to go to active duty once they're in the Guard 2 or 3 years, and they like that. But otherwise, you're just contributing to your community and wearing the uniform. And there's a lot to that, too.
We spoke about armories. How many armories do we have in the state?
Currently have about 65, 66. I don't know the exact number because we're in the business of returning them to cities and local municipalities.
What does that mean, returning them to cities? If you don't use them, they get them?
We do. So we're having, I've called it a fire sale, so to speak. We need to be at about 58 armories right now. When I came in, we had 84.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and so we've returned that.
So some of the smaller locations probably just shutting down. And you're saying giving the real estate back to the city.
We are. We go. We look at our footprint, and of course, with the lines of communication are so much smaller now. I mean, it used to be where it was important to have that local armory in that community, but now we can drive to our armories of distances of 30 minutes or so. So it just makes sense to reduce the footprint.
Well, it also gets, I guess you have to have full-time personnel there all the time.
We do. So there are a lot of costs that go along with it. You're correct. So it's a payroll cost. It's also utilities.
When you look at that, is your budget been about the same? And you get that money from the feds or from the state or a combination thereof?
Yeah, we're a bargain for the state. So if the state gives me $1 million to manage maintenance and all for the armories, I get a federal match on that of 50%. So
it's a 50-50 deal.
It is.
What's the budget for a year?
So my federal budget's $650 million that we bring into this state. I'd say about half of that is payroll and allowance. The rest of it is maintenance and contracts.
Speaking of which, and I don't think anybody gets in there for the money part of it, but does medical come with that, or?
So we have medical units.
Yeah. I'm talking as far as health insurance,
medical benefits. So if you join the National Guard, it gives you access to a medical benefit called TRICARE. Yeah. And then if you serve 20 years in the Guard, at age 60, you get TRICARE automatically, and it's a really good benefit. I tell you, I had a doctor tell me one time that, look, I'm in the Guard. I'm not in it for the pay. I'm in it for that health insurance when I get to age 60.
More today than ever. Well, let's talk about back up and talk about workforce development too, because when you're making those the calls at the high schools or other places like that, do you relate to them like, son, or you talk to the young lady? What are you interested in? If it's aeronautics, if it's drones or things like that, there are a multitude of different things you can get into as far as the National Guard's concerned.
Yeah, we're very fortunate state in that we got a lot of toys, we got a lot of options for careers, so to speak.
Big boy toys.
We do, and so our aviators, they have Blackhawks, they have the Chinooks that you see, the two-bladed helicopter. We got Apache helicopters, so we've got a big aviation footprint. We've got a big engineering.
So if
footprint.
you wanted to learn to fly, the National Guard would be a good place to do it.
It's a great way to do it. The Air Force, of course, we have.
I was going to say free, but they're going to teach you.
They are. And
is that helicopters and fixed wing?
It is. So we actually have fixed wing in the Army as well as in the Air Force, and we have all that equipment in the Mississippi National Guard. So, engineering, learn to drive a bulldozer, a skill you can take to the civilian world. Just a number.
Anything as far as construction is concerned, because I know that's a big part of the National Guard too.
We do. As a hurricane state, we have 2 construction battalions, one in North Mississippi, one in South Mississippi, so we can recruit against both of those. And, they're a construction unit, so they will deploy and do construction overseas, or they will do hurricane response here in Mississippi.
The Camp Shelby is under you guys as far as the National Guard is concerned?
It is. Camp Shelby is a big resource for us.
So you're responsible for that.
We are, and I'll tell you, Paul, it's a great way to bring units from outside of Mississippi into Mississippi. We've got California and Hawaii coming in next year to train at Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
Is that right?
We do. Infantry brigades. So it's a great resource to bring some revenue into the state of Mississippi, and it's really good.
Probably, if you look at the records, I would think that Camp Shelby's probably brought more people in from out of state than the casinos.
Well, I don't pretend to compete against the casinos.
12,500 people, men and women in the Guards. What about women? Is it increasing?
I had. It's really interesting that you asked me a question. I had a diversity read on the formation just the other day. We continue to increase in diversity about 4% every year, which is a wonderful thing. It means that we're looking more and more like Mississippi, and we have a number of women leaders in our formation. We really do. I will tell you, we just placed our first battalion commander, female battalion commander in the 155 ABCT. It is a first from
That's
Mississippi.
Located where?
So she went into the logistics battalion command down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and it supports logistics for the entire 155.
About that, congratulations.
Big job, yeah. So we invest in our ladies in the Guard.
Final thoughts here.
Paul, just happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Valentine's Day?
Did I say Valentine's again?
That's the second time
that is the second time. Veterans Day.
I'm thinking he's probably got a anniversary coming up or something.
So now you'll remember that I said it that way. But no, happy Veterans Day to everybody out there.
If I didn't correct you, people are going to be saying, "Did you hear what you said?"
But no, happy Valentine's. Look, these remarkable men and women who raise their right hand to join the military, we owe them every bit of respect and allegiance, and thank you for their service.
Well, and hopefully it continues that we understand exactly what we are giving and what we are getting from these folks. Marines regularly train with their international counterparts from more than 15 different nations. I was looking at some of the things as far as Navy and Army and National Guard, and giving some tidbits, and I got more to share with you throughout the morning. But again, thank you so very much, Major General Janson Boyles, Adjutant General of the state of Mississippi. Chris Ellis is coming in, Director of Claims and Hospital Services from the Mississippi Veterans Affairs. We'll talk to him at 8:05. Major General Janson Boyles, thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
See you back on Valentine's Day.
See you then.
We got more coming.